What's good, YouTube? This is KB LaFleur. You can call me KB. Welcome back to another video, man. We got something good for you guys. We got the differences between your hardcore red pill and your realistic red pill. So let's go ahead and jump straight into it, man. So the last video we talked about just Pearly. We talked about her antics, her hypocrisies, and her contradictions. That's an issue, right? That's an issue. And the sad thing about it is because she's so big, right? Because Fresh and Fit is so big, what they talk about and how they act is going to be pushed to the forefront when you're talking about red pill, when you're talking about the manosphere, right? Prime example, when you look at Fresh and Fit audience is based around people who don't even know how to get no ass, right? So when you talk to them about women, right, they're going to have a very, 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 very hard, strict mindset of, well, you know what, hey, you know, I'm rich, I can, you know, it's all about how many women I can get on my dick, you know, how much money I can make and this and that. When you look at alpha male strategies, when you look at his audience, right, it's all about being hard on women, right? It's all about collecting as money, getting all the money in the world, being as successful as you can be, which there's no issue with that, and having all the women on your meat, right? There's no family values pushed when you're talking about Fresh and Fit, when you're talking about alpha male strategies. Just, I want to say about a month or two ago, you had Sneeko confront, you know, Fresh and Fit, you know, and Rollo Tomasi about their ideas of a guy, you know, of younger guys getting a vasectomy because they saying, hey, well, you know, as a young man, you know, you're trying to become successful. You're going to have a lot of distractions. And a lot of your women are distractions, right? And a lot of these women are going to try to trap you. They're a big distraction. You have a kid with them. Now you're probably going to have to pay child support. Now you're going to have to deal with a lot of women. The chances of you dealing with a feminist is high, right? The chances of you catching a girlfriend and she is being a traditional woman is very low, right? It's very low. You're not going to find many traditional women, not in their, definitely not in the 20s.
So what's your take on this? I want to hear Fresh and Fit's take on this. There's 15,000 men watching for the most part. Should men in their 20s get a vasectomy?
Personally, I would say, looking at it from a holistic standpoint, I get what Rollo's saying for the whole topic itself of being high value, because once again, if you get a woman pregnant that's not there for you, she could be against you and it could turn into many different things. But personally, like I was saying earlier, for me, I do want a family. If I meet the right woman, I think is going to raise that child. But for most men, do they have the, I want to say, resources to find a woman that they want of their dreams, or even get the right woman? Probably not. So to be safe, vasectomy might be in their best interest.
So yes.
No, I'm saying, okay, so
it's a yes or no.
It depends on the individual. That's what I'm saying. So it's up to the man to decide for himself. But I'm just saying, generally for me, I think family is very important. But I understand why most men might not want that, because finding a woman that's actually good for you may be kind of hard. So I get
ducking a little bit.
In America specifically.
In America, yeah.
In America, to be specific.
What do you think?
Let's get the ladies' takes on it, and then I'll give my opinion, because I don't want to corrupt them with my take.
Okay.
All right, ladies. Let's make this a little bit more engaging. Let's say you have a son. He's 21 years old, building up a business, whatever it may be, is becoming somewhat successful. Actually, you know what? Let's say 30 years old, because let's be honest, 21-year-old guy is fucking useless. He ain't doing nothing with life. So 30-year-old guy, building up a business, he's on his way to becoming successful. Should he have a vasectomy, knowing how women move nowadays and how girls can trap guys? Quickest path to becoming a high-value man. Number one, don't get married. Avoid family creation. Vasectomy in your 20s.
Pretty retarded advice, because you're saying do this so that you become more attractive to women. So what's even the point of having a relationship with a woman if you can't have kids with her?
Don't you guys tweet all the time about how, like, oh, like, women are fucking disgusting that are freezing their eggs at like 20 and they're never gonna find out?
Yes.
And now you've got like guys that go to sperm clinics, like, here you go, I'm never gonna be able to impregnate my wife because there's like a 30% reversal rate on this fucking surgery.
You tell guys that they're losers if they don't go to the gym. They're losers if they play video games. You're a loser if you smoke weed. You're a loser if you watch sports. You need to exercise discipline. But when it comes to girls, oh shit, get a vasectomy because you can't control yourself.
For every one traditional woman, there are about at least 20 feminists. Let's just be real. For every one traditional woman, there's about at least 20 feminists. There's at least 20 feminists, right? You have to vet your women. Guys, understand, vet your women. But the thing is, man, even when you vet your woman, you're still going to catch a feminist, right? You're still going to catch a feminist. You're still going to catch a modern woman, right? So with Fresh and Fit, and where Rollo Tomasi is saying, hey, as a young guy, snip, snip, right? And you can smash as many women as you want and don't even have to worry about taking these women serious. Don't have to worry about being trapped by these women, right? But at the same time, when everybody's looking at it, right? Sneeko pointed it out. He's saying, man, listen, y'all not teaching these men any family values. That's what we want when we get older. We want some kids. We want a family, right? But this is where Sneeko's like, here is the contradictions, right? Here's the hypocrisy. How can you sit up here and tell women, hey, you should want to have some self-respect and you should want to stop being so career-driven and worry about a family, but then turn around and tell men, hey, look, get your nutsack cut off so you don't have to worry about these women. So you don't have to worry about having kids with a chick you don't want to have kids with. Just get a vasectomy. You can smash as many women as you want. That is their view about a young man staying focused, right? That's the idea of a young man staying focused. Have a vasectomy and sleep with as many women as you can and as many women as you want, right? And become successful. So that would be a hardcore red pill. Just Pearly sitting over here saying, well, hey, women shouldn't be able to vote and women shouldn't be able to divorce.
So
yeah, so let's talk about your Pearl serious question. Where are founders right for not allowing women to vote?
Oh yeah, I don't think women should vote. Oh shoot, sorry.
You don't think women should vote?
No.
Why is that?
I think right now there's selective service for men, which means you have to be like basically drafted. It's like the new version of the draft. If there's a time of war, you have to go fight. And I think that's fair. Like if you're living in a country, like yeah, you should defend it. But the issue is women don't have that same right. So why do we still get the same freedom? Like that's why women didn't vote before. Like they always spin it because
Well, also they didn't want it. They also women chose.
We didn't want to.
They didn't want to vote because then they had to be like police officers, firemen, and they had to do all this stuff. They're like, I don't want to do that stuff.
Like we're good. But that's the thing. Feminism is always we want all the freedom without the responsibility that comes with it. The responsibility is selective service. I say divorce should be banned. I say with minor exceptions, but there should be the exception, not the rule. I say ban divorce. Let's take marriage back for the people that actually believe in marriage. If you don't believe in marriage, if you believe in getting divorced over chores, please. The long-term relationship route is over there. Do your 8-year living together, having children relationships, and please leave marriage for the people that actually believe in it.
Right, but then you have another red pill guru, right, who backs this claim up by simply saying, by backing her opinions up by simply saying, hey, we are living in a time where a lot of people, right? So, if a man is sitting over here whooping on his wife should be able to endure that.
If there's someone that's very, very young and goes into a marriage and has kids when they're like 18, 19, 20, a year into the relationship, it gets really, really abusive. Even though it might be rare from what you guys think.
It is.
If it would happen, what would you recommend for those people? Would they divorce or do you want them to keep going in the relationship?
Keep going. You can't divorce. That's not a real thing.
Even though it might be like physically abusive?
You got to endure. People are too...
You want to stick in the relationship?
People are just...
look,
people
nowadays
are just...
For anyone that might be in that situation, what would you recommend?
Okay,
endure.
I'll tell you what.
Endure.
It is such an extreme example that I can't give a prescription for what other people should do.
What about if two people get married, they have a kid, and then the wife starts cheating? Do you think they should divorce?
Absolutely. Jesus himself said in cases of adultery, divorce is permissible.
So you think that divorce is worse than physical abuse?
For the children?
Or cheating, sorry. You think that cheating is worse than physical abuse?
For the children, yes.
Absolutely. I think I'm not going to say this is worse.
Divorce is worse for the children.
Right? And it's like, that doesn't make any sense, right? So you're sitting over here saying she should not be able to divorce even though she's being physically abused. That doesn't make sense. Not even for somebody like me. Not for somebody, man, who has common sense. Anybody who has common sense will sit. You know what? Here's what you need to ask that brother, right? Since he want to say that. Here's what you got to ask him. Okay, then fine, right? So if you see your mom getting beat up on every single day, if you see your daughter get beat up on by her man every single day, if you see, your girlfriend, right, get beat up on by some other guy, well, I take that back, If you see your mom, if you see your sister getting beat up on by her husband or her boyfriend, you're just going to sit over here and say, well, you know what, mom? Well, you know what, sister? It doesn't matter, right? You just got to endure that. You're not going to, right? You're not going to. And that's, once again, that is contradicting. That's hypocritical, right? That is hypocritical, because I know for a fact he will not allow anybody to put their hands on his mom or his daughter or his sister or whatever. So it's like, keep that same energy with every other woman in this world, man. I mean, listen, bro, like, we're not living in the 1800s, right? We're not living in the 1800s, bro. We're living in a time, man, where everybody, man, pretty much damn near have equal rights in America, right? Damn near everybody got equal rights in America, in the sense that, hey, as a woman, if she needs to leave that relationship, she leave, right? Just like how a man shouldn't be forced to stay in a relationship with a woman that ain't benefit him whatsoever, right? So that's what I'm saying. That's hardcore. That's hardcore red pill. And then you're telling women that they should not be able to vote. Pearly, did you even take the chance to think that, you know, hey, that applies to you too?
And honestly, if Pearly truly knew what she was talking about, she will understand that, man, first wave feminism allowed women to be able to vote, right? Now, the good thing about first wave feminism, right? Because a lot of men back that up. First wave feminism allowed women to be able to vote and be able to bring a second income into the household. Now there was a dilemma. The dilemma was, who's going to watch the kids? Women supposed to be watching the kids. Women are supposed to be taking care of the household, right? But at the same time, what man is going to say, hey, let's turn down some more money? It makes it easier for men to be able to go out and go work and say, hey, well, you know what? Now all of the financial burden isn't on me. I have some room. I have some help. She's saying, hey, well, you have the services, right? Where you have the draft where men have to sign up for drafts. A lot of women didn't want to sign up for drafts. Did we ever think about when the men went to war? What were women doing? They were serving the country while men were at war. A lot of you women being doctors. What were women doing? They weren't just at home tending to the family, right? They were at work. They were trying to make more money. So then when men came back, right, some of your guys going back to work, you're bringing in two incomes. You have two incomes. So that's why you should allow women to vote. Also, you should allow women to vote because they're also human beings too. What Pearly is saying is an extreme. What Pearly is saying is an extreme.
So when you look at some of their audience, when you look at Fresh and Fit's audience, when you look at Alpha Male Strategy audience, their audience is very, very different than the audience that you will see from my podcast, from the Poor Man's podcast, from the Poor Man's podcast, from O'Shea Duke Jackson's, right, from MTR. When you look at these brothers, right, and I would even throw Kevin Samuels in, and the reason I say that is because he talked a lot about your average men, right? Because you had a lot of average black women jumping on that platform with thousands of kids, you know what I'm saying, and saying, hey, well, you know, I want these high value men. And that's where your high value man came from. Well, Kevin Samuels was always talking about high value men because that's what these women wanted, or high value men. And he's like, man, no, listen, you have a lot of good average brothers. There's nothing wrong with an average brother, right? That's what makes us average, right? There's nothing wrong with an average brother. But women don't see it that way. A lot of your American women today do not see it that way. But that's what Kevin Samuels was saying. Hey, man, y'all women need to focus on men like that. Focus on your average men. Stop overlooking these men. When you look at Poor Man's podcast, when you look at O'Shea Duke Jackson, when you look at MTR, they're going to be focused on your average man. Not just your black average man, but your average man, right? Why? Because, once again, most of your men are average, right? Most of your men do not want your monogamous relationships that you're going to be seeing over here in Fresh and Fit, in the Fresh and Fit community, right? Don't get me wrong. I agree with a lot of shit that Fresh and Fit say, but when you sit over here and talk about you're not talking about any family values. You're not getting any family values over there, Fresh and Fit, right? When you talk about men actually saying, hey, well, you know what, let's start holding women accountable, and let's see a woman herself who's holding another woman accountable. Let's see if she's holding herself accountable. You're not seeing that with Pearly. You'll see that with Daphne, right? Celebrity. You'll see that with her. She's gonna hold people accountable. You don't ever hear her into shit. This is what I'm saying. You got your average red pillars. You got your average manosphere. That's what I thought Red Pill and the manosphere was about. Holding people accountable, right? Man and woman. And talking about the inconsistencies of the society, right? I talk about them all the time. Now, for whatever reason, when I talk about certain things, it doesn't get pushed out, right? For whatever reason, when I talk about certain things, such as your alphabet group, such as people, man, the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that group, right? When you talk about them, for whatever reason, it doesn't ever get pushed out, right? When I talk about, prime example, you had Tyree Nichols. I talk about things like that, understanding that, hey, that brother could have avoided that situation, right? Yes, I'm going down that route. Eric Garner, right? He could have avoided that situation. I like talking about things like that, right? I like talking about your average men because I'm an average man myself. And I can tell you right now, most of your average men wants to have a wife, wants to have a family, and that's it, right? And that's it. But once again, Fresh and Fit is not going to preach family values. O'Shea Jackson will, Poor Man's Podcast will, MTR will, A Different Perspective will, I will, because that's something, man, that even in the black community we need more of, right? We need more of that. But you're not going to get that over there with a hardcore red pill, right? Where these people are saying, hey, well, you know what? We want, hey, I want a polygamous relationship. You look at Myron. From my understanding, he wanted to have 2 girlfriends. I don't see how you can deal with 2 girlfriends, right? It's a struggle to deal with one, right? But yeah, you want to deal with 2 coochies? I mean, hey, that's you. Hey, and like I said, man, like I said, I'm all for it. If you're a man and you want to be in a polygamous relationship, and hey, knock yourself out. You know what I'm saying? I'm not against it, but at the same time, I myself wouldn't do no shit like that. At the same time, I wouldn't preach that to anyone else, to any other younger man, to say, hey, yeah, you need to get a vasectomy and have multiple girlfriends. You should not want to think that way. Right? You should not want to think that way. And I get it. Men are going to have some side pieces. That's one thing. But to sit over here and try to have multiple girlfriends and try to do this polygamous shit that you be seeing other guys doing, to me personally, I don't get it. I couldn't do it. Right? I couldn't do it. Once again, I get the side piece part. I get the side piece. So some of your men are going to want to have side pieces. Some of your men are going to want to have a woman they go to just to rub one out and keep it moving. You got guys, man, who don't even want to have relationships, who just want to run through everything, even well into their 30s. And it's like, man, I think by the time you at least hit 20-something years of age, at least 20 years of age, you should, as a man, you should at least want to start looking towards building something with a woman. That's my opinion, right? That's my opinion. I had my first red pill wake-up call when I was in the 8th grade, right? Dealing with this one girl named Natalie. You had this one guy, he was new. This is my 7th grade year. He was new. I don't think he knew I was dating this girl. But, he and I, we had mutual friends. After a while, I never had class with this girl. So after a while, he started to slap her ass. So I'm like, man, what in the world? I'm like, what's going on here? So fast forward, I'm sitting on here telling her, man, like, listen, you need to say something. Oh, I don't want to say anything. No. I'm just scared to say anything. So now, as a man, I'm feeling obligated. I got to go do something. So I correct this guy. I confronted him and everything. I'm like, yo, bro, you keep touching my girl, there's going to be some issues, yada, yada, yada. Right? Wasn't going to be no issues, man, because, mind you, I'm in the 7th, 8th grade. Got to go home and deal with my dad. I'm not going to get suspended and then go home and go get my ass beat by my father. It's just not going to happen. So fast forward, she ended up coming out of nowhere like months later saying, hey, well, you know what? He's been trying me for the longest. I want to give him an opportunity. I just want to see what he has to offer. And if he doesn't have anything to offer, I want to come back. I'm going to come back to you. My stupid self say, okay, fine, then go ahead. Go ahead. Like a little simp I am. Go ahead. Right? As I got older, I was like, man, listen, there's no way in hell a woman is ever going to be able to do this to me ever again. Ever again. Ever. That was my first red pill wake-up call. Right? So then once I went to 9th grade, she ended up going to one high school. I ended up going to another high school. But I had a homeboy who lived in her neighborhood. So every time I go to see him, I would see her. I changed into a totally different person. She's like, you're not the same person that I used to mess with. Like, I actually want to be serious with you this time. And it's like, honey, you blew that. Right? You blew that. That was my red pill wake-up call. But even then, right? Even then, as I got older, I still kept the values of, I still want a girlfriend. I just know how I need to act towards women, right? I just need to know how I need to act towards women. And once you had Kevin Samuels come along, I just said, okay, this just puts in place, this puts everything in place. Kevin Samuels was not talking about polygamous relationships, right? He was not pushing polygamous relationships. He was pushing a nuclear black family. He was pushing, hey, man, an average black man needs to be with your average black woman, right? So they can make an average black family. We want to continue to see that. You're not going to get that with alpha male strategies. You're not going to get that with Fresh and Fit, but you're going to get that with Poor Man's Podcast, MTR, Different Perspective. Understand, at the end of the day, there are two forms of red pill. You have your realistic red pill and you have your hardcore red pill. Your hardcore red pill is going to teach men how to be in polygamous relationships, how not to really worry about a family, because they're not teaching family values. When you have over here in your realistic red pill, they're going to teach you, hey, this is how you need to act as a man. As a man, this is how you need to act in society. And this is what you should be wanting to focus on, right? This is what you should be wanting to focus on. That's what I thought Red Pill was about. I thought Red Pill was about what you see what O'Shea D. Jackson talk about, what Poor Man's Podcast talk about, what MTR talk about. And I'm talking about the old Poor Man's Podcast. I ain't talking about this new Poor Man's Podcast. He just does a bunch of reactions. And I get it. He has his reasons. But my thing is, man, when you look at the old man, when you look at the old videos of Poor Man's Podcast, he dropped a lot of knowledge, right? It was a lot of conversations, to be honest with you. There's a lot of good conversations. And when you listen to him, when you look at his old videos, it was genuinely about average men doing better and seeing average men and average black women being together. So y'all do me a huge favor, man. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, and leave me a subscribe.